Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So yesterday I saw the world premiere of Rent in concert at the Kennedy Center, and this is my review. First segment is, what was the show about? Rent is about this group of artists who all live together in New York. One is named Mark and the other is named Roger. They live together, and one is a filmmaker and the other is a songwriter. And one day, how do you describe Rent? Their old friend Benny, who recently bought their building after marrying into a wealthy family, bought their building and is forcing them to pay rent. Over the course of this day, December 24th, they meet a bunch of new people like Angel and Mimi, who become a part of their family, and they go to this protest, and then their building gets taken away, and then Act 2 happens. Again, that is a horrible description of Rent, but hopefully if you're watching this you already know what Rent is. Rent is this incredible show that was written by Jonathan Larson, and this concert version had orchestrations by Sean O'Loughton, I hope that is how you say that, and was conducted by Stephen Ranke. Again, I apologize if I mispronounce any names because I am horrible at pronouncing names. The concert director was Sammy Canold, and the music supervisor was Sean Mays. Next segment is the technical elements, so the orchestrations and the lighting. Normally I would also talk about sets and costumes, but this didn't really have any sets and costumes. The orchestrations are like maybe the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my entire life. They added in an overture for the beginning of the show and it was absolutely beautiful. Like, it started with Seasons of Love and it was like this 78-piece orchestra. I don't have the exact number, but it was a huge orchestra. If you look at the photos on Broadway World, you can see like it was a huge orchestra. There were so many strings, which added so much lovely sound. There was, I'm pretty sure there was a harp. It was just absolutely beautiful, like adding in all of these extra elements. It still sounded like a rock score. There was still a drum set, there were several guitars, but like just the extra addition of all these extra instruments made it so beautiful, and like you have never heard this score this way before. It truly is like the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. I already said that, but it's true. It was literally breathtaking. Like, I started crying the second they started playing this music because of how amazing it was. And the only other like technical part was the lighting, which was absolutely amazing. Like several lights on the stage, like spotlights for the people who were singing, but they also just had different colored spotlights throughout the entire show, and it didn't distract from the show, but it just added to it and made it look super cool. Because Rent doesn't have a lot of staging, it doesn't have a huge elaborate set, so it worked very well in the concert version, and these little lights just added in everything else that needed to be there, and it was great. It made it super cool to look at, and it was just a really beautiful space. I'm also going to talk about the direction a little bit. There wasn't much, it was just more of people moving to specific stands, but the one direction choice, spoilers if you have never seen that before, but when the people die, there's like, it's the stage and then there are these like two doors at the end, so whoever is dying would walk silently to that door and a bright light would shine on them and then would go out once they go through the door. Then when like Mimi comes back, you hear like a breath and then she runs back out, which I thought was a very nice way to do that in the concert version. Next segment is, did Rent work as just a concert? And it absolutely did. Rent doesn't have a lot of staging, and like obviously they move around the stage, but there isn't a lot of like dancing, so there's not that being taken away. The lack of costumes didn't make it feel any less real. It just worked so well because the music speaks for itself. Like, the book was also taken out, it was just fully sung through, so the music is like the best part of that show. So just having the music made it so impactful. It didn't take anything away at all. It was just so beautiful, and what was really nice about this version of the show, or like this concert, was whenever people were singing, they would bring their stands down so you could fully see them, especially if you were up front. It worked so well as a concert version. Like, there's not these big elaborate sets. Sure, during Out Tonight, Mimi's like running around the stage, but everyone put so much into their performances, and that it just worked perfectly. And that huge orchestra and the orchestrations just completely make the show that it's a beautiful concert version. Next is, how are the performances? This show, if it were to have another life, it needs to continue just to be perfectly cast, because it's just the orchestrations and the people performing that make the concert version work. So I'm gonna go through all the people. Andrew Barth Feldman was Mark. He was perfectly cast. Him as Mark and Alex Boniello as Roger was just perfect casting. The two of them together in any show is great, but the two of them just together, it made it work so perfectly. And they both sung those roles beautifully. Like, Alex does such a great job of singing rock score while also still bringing like musical theater quality to it. And Andrew was having the time of his life in this show, and it made me enjoy it a million times more, because everyone else was like trying to stay in character while watching, because everyone's on stage the entire show, but Andrew is laughing along with the audience. He's clapping after every number and just sitting there and enjoying his life and loving the show, and it made me enjoy it so much more. But both of their performances were absolutely perfect and completely amazing. Miles Frost was Benny, and he did so many extra riffs and opt-ups that were like beautiful. It was so nice to just listen to his voice, because I've never seen him perform live before, so that was super cool to see him perform live, and he as well was perfectly cast. Angel was played by Jamie Harrod, who I had never heard perform before, and just did a perfect job of singing. Like, their voice was beautiful and like so heavy, but like perfect. I can't even describe how amazing their voice was, but it was just so amazing, and the notes that were belted in those songs were amazing, and I cried because of their performance. Ali Stroker was Maureen. She stole the show. Her whole Over the Moon sequence was amazing. Her belting, her acting, she was hilarious and so perfectly cast. She was just incredible. And Lorna Courtney was Mimi Marquez. She also slayed. There was like a 2-minute long applause after Out Tonight, which was very well deserved. It was perfect. She was absolutely incredible. She was also having the time of her life. She acted that role so well. Her acting through song was just gorgeous. She had so much emotion while singing everything perfectly, and it was great. Tom Collins was Terrence Johnson. He also did a great job. His voice was amazing. And Joanne Jefferson was played by Awa Sal-Seka. I really hope that's how you pronounce her name. She was also amazing. Her voice is beautiful. She was hilarious. And there was also a very small ensemble of 4 people, and they all sang their roles and everything else beautifully. Next segment is, would I recommend the show? And yes, I would. I think it is a great version of the show. You don't miss a lot. Like some concert versions, like there's so much of the show that's missing just because they're just standing there singing. But this score really speaks for itself, so you still get the story. I saw it with my parents, both of which don't know Rent very well, but they understood everything. And the orchestrations and the performances are just so great that I totally would recommend it, and don't think it's any less superior than the normal version of the show. Next is final thoughts, stage door, and the future of the show. So first I'll talk about what I think the future of the show will be. I definitely think this will be revived in some type of way, whether they're gonna record it or put it on tour, or maybe like do a short Broadway run, which I think that's the least likely, but I definitely think they will do a new version of the show sometime soon, just because of how good it was, and from what I've heard, it's been very well received from everyone else that has seen it. Final thoughts, I absolutely loved this version. Everything about it was perfect, and like not too much was missing from the show. All the performances were spectacular, and the lighting and orchestrations were so cool that it just made it its own thing and its own perfect thing. Also, there was merch, which was shocking. It also has the Rent. You see it? Yes, okay. Got a Rent in concert t-shirt. They also had magnets and keychains, which I was shocked. They didn't even give us like playbills, but they gave us merch. Well, not for free. You had to pay for it, but I thought that was super cool. And last but not least, stage door. This was one of the craziest stage doors I've ever been at, because this was in the concert hall, and the concert hall stage door is a lot smaller than like the regular stage door, because the other stage door is outside, but the concert hall one is inside right near the entrance and where people were exiting, so they had to like move everyone from the door, and there wasn't a lot of space to stand where like the people could actually talk to you, so there were several people that didn't actually get to meet people. I got to meet pretty much the entire cast, but it wasn't the best stage door, but hopefully if they do this somewhere else, it'll be somewhere different so that people can actually meet the cast. So yeah, I really hope this goes somewhere else after this, and this isn't the only version of it. It was just absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.